Hey everyone, this is Tony Earp with Class Eagles. Hope you're having a great day. Want to talk to you a little about a conversation I had over the weekend with another coach who kind of asked a great question and something that we all should be thinking about. It was, you know, why do kids fall in love with soccer? Why do they fall in love with the game? And it was a good conversation. We kept going back and forth, and what we kind of decided between both of us was that kids don't fall in love with soccer. They don't fall in love with the game. What they tend to fall in love with was the environment around the game. How the game makes them feel, how the game challenges them. The feeling of being around their friends. How that the feeling of going to practice and in games and playing with these kids that really enjoy playing with them. They've formed relationships with. Those type of things. They fall in love with that. They enjoy that. They fall in love with the coach. How the coach makes them feel, how the coach talks to them, how the coach understands them. They fall in love with the idea of being able to learn something new and what that process is like, and be able to do something they weren't able to do before. So we kind of came to the conclusion it really wasn't about the game itself. It was about the environment and the surrounding elements of the game. I think of myself, and growing up, my first coach was my dad. And my dad coached our team, and I loved it. And because of that, we play in the backyard all the time. And for me, I think that's what I really fell in love with first was the idea that I got to spend this time with my dad, who I love. And we spent all this time in the backyard playing and having fun, and my friends would come over. And I think that's what I really enjoyed. That's what I, in essence, at least at first, kind of fell in love with. So as we think of what we do throughout the season for players, as a coach, as parents, as a club, we ask that question: how do we keep kids playing? How do we keep them involved in the game or falling in love with the game or sports in general? I think we have to kind of rephrase a question and think about what is they're actually falling in love with and what they're really enjoying. And it's often not the game itself. It's all those elements that surround the game, and how the game makes them feel. And a lot of times that people point to winning and having success, and that's what they really enjoy. But I think about myself as a kid, and I can't tell you how many games I've won. But I can tell you about all the friends I made and relationships I formed over time. And even now that I don't play, looking back, although I miss the competition, I do miss playing. Probably the biggest thing I miss as a former player, former collegiate athlete, is being around my team and being part of that team, and all the benefits from that. So something that we need to think about as we kind of go forward, working with players and trying to help them fall in love with the game eventually, is that what do they richly fall in love with? What do they really care about when they start playing? And when we're creating training sessions and setting up games, and the way we talk to players, we have to keep that in mind, is that sometimes we are too focused on trying to help them enjoy the game, and we do want that, but really it's the environment and the things around it that we create that helps them enjoy coming to practice and showing up to games and playing, that often doesn't have much to do with soccer. And sometimes it's hard for adults to understand and appreciate or even really enjoy. But I think if we think of sports in that way, and we think of the things really the kids are showing up for, not just playing soccer or whatever their hobby is, but the elements around it, then we're going to keep more kids playing for longer, and eventually that love for that surrounds the game and the elements with the friends, and all the things we've talked about, eventually it does translate to that love for the game, and everything goes back to them. So with young players, particularly those coaches out there, after that question, how do I get kids to enjoy the game more, fall in love with it, share that same passion you do? I think that's how we have to look at it. We have to not try to force the love of the game onto them, but create an environment and situations that the kids fall in love with, that they love showing up every day because they know these great relationships. All their friends are going to be there, and the coach is going to be there supporting them, helping them. They know the coach cares about them. They know parents support them. They care about how things are going. All those things come into play. So that's how the discussion kind of came, finished off to, is we really just think that kids do fall in love, with the elements and the environment, surrounding sports and not the sport itself to start with. So think about that this season. Think about that with your team, your child. I definitely, will be thinking that more from, my child and my teams working with this year, and hopefully that makes a profound impact for you, as I think it will for me and my child, the teams we work with, and our club. So, thank you.